Welcome back, everyone, of the Detroit Lions franchise here on Madden 20, as today we have a pretty big episode going over pretty much all of the preseason, except for the first game, which we went over in the stream. Our Lions ended up losing 20-8. So, we're going to have a roster overview, play this game against the Redskins, see how we do against the Bears and Packers, do cuts, and just getting ready for the season as a whole, basically a season preview. So we're going to look at this team position by position, just getting a general idea of who we have. Obviously, a quarterback, it's going to be Matthew Stafford. Some people during the stream wanted us to draft a quarterback in the second or third round. I decided against it, but that's something we could look our eye on down the line. Last year, Stafford was pretty solid, over 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He was all around pretty efficient, and I'm very comfortable with having him as the starting quarterback this season. But long term, who knows? We'll have to see. After him, though, it gets kind of shaky. The backup quarterback situation is not great. Undrafted rookie out of Notre Dame, Silas Stork. 6th-round rookie out of Minnesota, Emmanuel Sanchez Jr., and of course Nathan Peterman. So I'd expect one or two of these backups to join Stafford on the roster, and we'll have a big competition during the preseason. In the Bucs game, I would say Stork was the most impressive. Peterman did not play, and Sanchez was pretty lackluster. So now at running back, obviously we were set at starter. That's Kerryon Johnson, who now has superstar development trait. Led the NFL in rushing last year, and I think we're pretty much set at running back. Right now, after him, we have Jalen Richard, who's likely a lock to make the roster. And then after him, there's Zach Zenner, Ty Johnson, Akram Wadley, and Davion McDowell, an undrafted rookie out of Charleston Southern with hidden depth trait. After Kerryon and Richard, I expect two of those bottom four guys to end up making the roster, and two of them getting cut or being put on the practice squad. Fullback is Nick Bawden. I expect him to stay. Not much to say about that. Then wide receiver, it gets pretty interesting. Marvin Jones, now 30 years old. I don't see him going anywhere. Galladay is good. Bonner Sanders, rookie out of Texas, late second-round pick, has a hidden development trait. He looks like an absolute monster. Obviously, he does have some off-the-field concerns, which we have to watch out for, but for the most part, I think he's set. After that, I don't think we have any locks to make the final 53-man roster. There's certainly some talent after those three guys. Robert Foster, third-year man out of Alabama. Travis Fulgham, who had a really good preseason last year. Amara Darboh, who we signed to an extension this offseason. Tommy Lee Lewis, Brandon Powell, undrafted rookie Jose St. Louis. So there's plenty of talent at this wide receiver position. I'd expect 5 or 6 of these guys to end up making the final roster, and the rest being cut or being put on the practice squad. So now on to tight ends, obviously led by TJ Hawkinson, who now has a superstar X Factor, only player on the team with X Factor, and his X Factor ability is max security. He gets 2 more superstar abilities once he's an 85 and a 90. After him, Jesse James, I think he's pretty safe as the backup, and then we'll have a competition for the number 3 tight end between Isaac Nauta and Cordavius Finley, Mr. Irrelevant out of Southern Utah. The loser of the competition will likely be headed to the practice squad. Now on to the offensive line. This unit has seen plenty of changes this offseason. Left tackle, probably the only stable position on this team. Taylor Deckard, Tyrell Crosby, same two from last year. I think they're both going to make the 53. Then Frank Ragnow, he was a Pro Bowler last year. Will he play on the offensive line? Will it be left guard? Will it be center? We'll have to find out. Now, looking at the center position, there's only one on the roster, Leo Kalamantaki, a 4th-year man from Hawaii. He's the only center on the team, but he's definitely a guy who could end up getting released. Right guard, there are, I believe, 4 or 5 on the roster, so definitely expect a few to get cut. Second-round rookie out of Oregon, Aaron Howard. He's obviously pretty safe. I expect him to get a starting job this season and make an early impact for this Detroit Lions squad. After him, we got free agent signing Connor McGovern. I expect him to start at one of the guard spots. His roster spot is pretty safe. Evan Bo Benchwazel and Jermaine Illuminor will be competing for the backup guard spot. Loser will go on the practice squad or get cut outright. And then to right tackle, we see the first-round draft pick out of Washington, Akeem Downing, number 12 overall. He is a 78 overall with a hidden development trait, of course. I expect it to be star because that's how most offensive linemen are, but who knows, maybe it's superstar. Won't be superstar X Factor. And then in the 4th round, we got a steal. Hidden development trait for Marshall King, an offensive tackle out of North Carolina. His roster spot is pretty safe. Then after those two, there's Ryan Pope, who he's going to need to play well this preseason to get a roster spot. Now on to the defensive side of the football. Left end, we got Deshaun Hand. His spot is safe. He'll be a starter once again. But after him, it gets sort of weird. There's Austin Bryant, who broke his foot in the preseason game versus Tampa Bay. And then after him, there's Chunky Clements and Traylon Jackson. I expect one of those two to make the roster. Austin Bryant will not be put on IR. He's just going to be on the regular 53 unless he gets cut. And then right end, Trey Flowers is obviously safe. I think it's safe to say Romeo Okwara is pretty safe. And Malik Carney, who was on the practice squad last year, will be competing for a roster spot to be the number 3 right end. Now on to the defensive tackle position, as I think it's safe to say the starters at defensive tackle are pretty much set. Snacks Harrison was incredible last season getting to the quarterback, and he did his thing in the run as well. And then Ashawn Robinson, I expect to get the starters for number 2 defensive tackle. After them, there's P.J. Johnson and John Atkins, both of whom were practice squad guys last year. Maybe one of them makes it. Maybe both of them make the 53-man. We'll have to see. The linebacking core is quite different. Maybe not the starters, but I would say the depth is a little bit different. Devon Kennard, he's on his final year of his contract, but his starting spot is pretty much safe. Garrett Dooley, on the other hand, is definitely going to be a guy who has to compete for a roster spot. Middle linebacker, there's Jared Davis and Jelani Tavai, both of whom were starters, both of whom are their roster spots are fine. And then we have 2 rookies behind them. 3rd round rookie out of Rutgers, Duvon Mann, hidden development trait. His roster spot is safe. I think the Lions should try to get him playing time this year. And then picked in the 5th round, Peter Carney out of Colorado State. He also has a hidden dev trait. Crazy how many hidden development trait players the Lions got. And that likely makes Trey Lamar the odd man out. Maybe he somehow makes the team, but it's not too likely. And then right outside linebacker, there's Shaquem Griffin, acquired from Seattle in the offseason. Griffin and a 5th were sent to Detroit in exchange for Rick Wagner. And then Jalen Reeves-Maybin, now in his 4th year out of Tennessee, fighting for another backup spot. Cornerback might be one of the most interesting positions on this team this year. Obviously, you got Darius Slay, who's safe. Justin Coleman is also safe. But outside of that, I don't think anyone else is fully set to be on this roster. Now, there is going to be a starting battle between Mackenzie Alexander and Amani Oruwariye for the number 3 cornerback spot. They will likely be on the outside when it's 3 cornerback sets. And then for roster spots, Jamal Agnew is likely safe since he's a good special teams guy. And then Andre Shasheri and Byron Favorite will likely be competing for roster spots as well. So out of Agnew, Shasheri, and Favorite, I expect only one of them to be on the team. Agnew definitely be early favorite. And then Oruwariye and Alexander are both likely safe to make the team, but anything could happen. 3 safeties, same as last year, pretty much set. Tracy Walker's the starter. Will Harris is the backup. I don't see any issues with that. And then strong safety as well. I don't expect the Lions to make any changes here. Quandre Diggs is the starter. Tavon Wilson is the backup and maybe sub-linebacking role. And then Damon Tharp out of North Dakota, 4th round selection. His roster spot is likely safe as well as the 5th safety. On to the special teams. Kicking and punting is definitely safe. Matt Prater as the kicker. He was excellent last year, only missed 4 kicks all season. Then Sam Martin was a really good punter last year, so both of them are set, and neither of them have to worry about their roster spot. So here's a look at the depth chart for the preseason. You may notice most of the starters are not playing. The only starters who are playing are the rookies. We're just trying to avoid injury. Yeah, our guys might be rusty, but we have to prioritize health before rust, I guess. The only starter I see here is Ashawn Robinson, and then I guess whoever wins the battle between Mackenzie Alexander and Amani Oruwariye, as a lot of hidden depth traits on this team. I think, what are there, 5, 6? Dear goodness, we love the color blue. Anyway, we got some Week 2 preseason action as the 0-1 Detroit Lions head out to Landover, Maryland to take on the 1-0 Washington Redskins. As Detroit trying to get back on the win column. It is for preseason and it doesn't really matter. But but some of these guys are playing for roster spots. Some of these guys may never play professional football again if they get cut by this team, and obviously they want to play. So here's Washington, led by Dwayne Haskins. He did not get the start last year, and it's pretty much assumed around the organization that he will be getting the starting position this year. Let's go 3rd and 1. Hand off for, I believe that's Darius Geis, and he's going to be stopped. That's Amani Oruwariye with the tackle, trying to compete to have a bigger role on the defense this year, basically replacing Rashawn Melvin from last year. And then here's the Lions offense, and it's going to be a little bit shaky. There's Silas Stork missing the throw. He got the start once again today. 3rd down and 11. Stork would be intercepted this time as he missed the throw once again. Very poor start for Stork in this one, as it's McLean getting the INT. You can't spell intercepted without the D. So the Redskins have it, trying to punch it in. 1st and goal. Nice play right there by, I believe that's Malik Carney, fighting for a roster spot. Now 2nd and goal from about the 4. Haskins going to look to throw it, and he connects with his man. That's going to be Paul Richardson Jr. for the score. And Paul Richardson will give the Redskins a 7-0 lead. Former Seattle Seahawk. The Lions know Paul Richardson all too well from playoff experiences. As on 3rd down, Stork misses another throw. He starts this game off 0 for 5. That was Freddie Bonner Sanders, the intended target. So Stork needs to get on a little bit of a roll, and that will help. His first completion of the game, that'll go over to the tight end, Cordavius Finley. And now Stork's going to try to get into a little bit of a groove, and he would do just that. As Stork connecting over to Freddie Bonner Sanders, the rookie out of Texas. And that'll be a nice gain over to the 34-yard line. Bonner Sanders looked very impressive in the preseason. As long as his ego doesn't get in his way, he will have a long and very good NFL career. As there's Travis Fulgham for the touchdown, and the Lions will tie this game up. Fulgham was excellent last year in the preseason, and he's looking good so far this year. Fulgham caught 1 touchdown pass for Detroit this season. I believe that was against Oakland. So multiple players missed the sack right there for the Lions. Romeo Okwara does end up getting to Haskins, bringing him down. So that'll re-bring out the Lions offense. Here's Ty Johnson, 2nd-year man out of Maryland. Loses the juice. Landon Collins forces it. And the Redskins will take it to the house for a scoop and score. As that's Jason Verrett. And I think the more impressive thing, rather than the touchdown, is that Verrett didn't tear his hamstring on that play. So props to him that he actually stayed healthy after that one. As there's Stork finding his favorite target of the day, Freddie Bonner Sanders, FBS. And then here's Zach Zenner, starting off the 2nd quarter, bringing it to the 7. As Zenner's roster spot is on the line, and plays like that will certainly help him. 2nd and goal. Here's Stork. He's going to be picked off. Excellent play right there from Ryan Shazier. And the Redskins get a stop in the red zone. Washington wouldn't do anything, but still a nice play nonetheless. So here's 2nd and 1. Stork under pressure, and that's Ryan Kerrigan, the veteran. Super consistent. You always know you're getting a double-digit sack season out of him. So here returns Washington up 14-7. Dwayne Haskins on 1st down with a dart. As there were 4 Lion defenders in the general area. However, he was able to connect it to his target, Ryan Grant, the former Packer. So now 1st down from the 49. Here's Haskins looking to throw it. He connects again. And this time, that one's going to go for a touchdown, as Washington will double their lead, making it 21-14, as that's going to be Matthews with the score. Washington has the ball back. Their defense playing very well. Silas Stork did not play as well as he did in the Buccaneer game. And then Haskins going deep again, and it works. Tavai having trouble tackling him. They'll bring it to about the 25. So here's 3rd down and goal. Haskins trying to take it himself, and he will be wrapped up. I believe that's Damon Tharp with the play. 4th-round rookie. And then 4th and goal. The Redskins try to fake the field goal. More fake than my ex-girlfriend. However, Will Harris, the 2nd-year man out of Boston College, will hit stick the ball carrier. So Detroit has it back. Here's Ty Johnson with a gain of 25 yards. At quarterback now is Emmanuel Sanchez Jr., 6th-round rookie out of Minnesota. Struggled in the Buccaneer game. He's going to try to do better here. And he got awfully lucky there. Fulgham makes an incredible catch right there as the second-year man out of Old Dominion with a huge play. Not too much time left here in the half. Here's Jonathan Allen with the sack. So Sanchez would spike it. 1 second left. Here's Matt Prater from 60 yards out, and he drills it. Matt Money Prater still has it as he gets the 60-yard kick, and just like that, it's now 21-10. Prater missed an extra point in the Buccaneer game, his only kick, and now he gets that one. As there's Jose St. Louis, the undrafted rookie, made a nice play, and then first and goal, excellent move from Amara Darboh. Risky pass from Emmanuel Sanchez, however, Darboh will get it for 6. Now the Lions going to try to go for 2, trying to make it a field goal deficit. That's exactly what they would do, as that's the rookie getting the 2-point conversion, Davion McDowell. I think that's his name. So now it's 21-18. Here's Case Keenum in the game. He's going to look deep, and he will connect. Will Harris try to go for the interception? It doesn't work. Harris and friends unable to catch him. That'll be a Washington Redskin touchdown, and just like that, it's once again a 10-point game. Here's Emmanuel Sanchez on third down, looking deep for a wide-open Amara Darboh. More wide open than a McDonald's drive-thru at 5 o'clock in the morning. Very bad coverage from Washington. Really nice pass from Sanchez. So now just like that, it's a 3-point deficit once again. As on second down, it's for corner Jamal Agnew sacking Case Keenum. The Lions have it back. Nathan Peterman now in as he's replacing Emmanuel Sanchez, who played very well in this game. He connects with Isaac Natua, who brings it to about the 26. Now at the 24, 4th down and 8. Prater going for the field goal. It is good. And just like that, this game is tied up at 28 with not too much time left to go. About 9.5 minutes left in the 4th. So here's Case Keenum looking to throw it. And he's picked off by Jelani Tavai, the second-year man at Hawaii. Not for rookie anymore. He did not register any interceptions as a rookie, but he gets that one there. However, Washington will get the ball back pretty soon after. And that would be Case Keenum connecting with Trey Quinn for the touchdown, former SMU Mustang. Quinn was actually Mr. Irrelevant back in 2018, I believe. So here is Peterman looking for Natua, who drops it, and Josh Norman will pick it up and get the interception. That one was totally not Peterman's fault. Just an awful play from Natua, and that could cost him a roster spot as the Lions need to stop. Nice hit from Peter Carney. Or that's Garrett Dooley, sorry, not Carney. And then third down, the Lions get another stop, so there's still a chance. Lions going to have to drive down the field, get the touchdown. Here's Peterman on first down. He would be lassoed down as the Redskins going downstairs where Daddy hides the vodka. Now 2nd and 20, Peter Meme looking to throw it, and he would be picked off again. Greg Stroman with the clincher. That one was Peterman's fault, as Stroman with the play, and that would be all she wrote. Washington Redskins get the win, 28-35. The Skins got 5 takeaways in this game, 4 interceptions, and then the Ty Johnson fumble. So looking at the stats, Emmanuel Sanchez was definitely the best of the quarterbacks. I would say Peterman played a little bit better than Silas Stork. Neither of them were great. Running the ball, McDowell, he partially tore his MCL, so he's going to miss a decent bit of time. Zenner and Johnson both played pretty well. Amara Darboh had a great game. Bonner Sanders played pretty well. Fulgham had 2 really nice grabs as well. Offensive line, Akeem Downing allowed a sack. That's not fun. Kolomentagi also allowed a sack. Tackle leaders were 8, Will Harris and Jelani Tavai. Number of players with a tackle for loss, including the rookie Damon Tharp. Sacks for Jamal Agnew and Romeo Okwara, and then an interception for Jelani Tavai. So now it's time to see how we did in the other 2 preseason games. First one is against the Bears, and we choked in the 4th quarter, only losing by 3. As look at Silas Stork and Nathan Peterman. They had essentially the exact same stat line, just Stork threw 2 more passes, or 2 more yards, sorry. How can you evaluate that? They did the same thing. Running the ball, nothing too special. Receiving game, 2 touchdowns for Bonner Sanders. Couple sacks allowed, Tharp and Griffin. with 7 tackles. Farp and Griffin also get tackles for loss. 2 sacks for Peter Carney, 1 for Griffin, 1 for Tavai. And then Jelani Tavai gets another interception, his second of the preseason. And then the final game against our rival Packers, we actually do get the win, so we'll finish up a preseason 1-3, as none of the quarterbacks were too impressive. All of them had similar numbers for this game. Sanchez threw a pick, touchdown for Sanchez and Stork. Zach Zenner led the way in yards with 59, but he also had a pretty low yards per carry. Jose St. Louis with 105 yards and a touchdown, 3 sacks allowed, and then defensively, 2 tackles for loss for P.J. Johnson, sack for Flowers, Hand, and Kennard. Don't know why they were playing. And then an interception for Tracy Walker. So here's a final look at the stats for the preseason. I would say Emmanuel Sanchez was definitely the best of the backups. Curious to see what the Lions end up doing. Will they carry 3 quarterbacks? Who would be the 3rd quarterback? Running the ball, Johnson and Zenner put up equal amount of yards pretty much. McDowell was solid. Jose St. Louis led the way statistically in receiving. Bonner Sanders led in touchdowns. Cordavius Finley only 6 catches for 43 yards, but at least he didn't drop a pass that was intercepted. On to blocking. 5 sacks allowed for Marshall King. He is quite raw. 2 sacks allowed for Kalamataki, Pope, and Akeem Downing. Want to see him doing better. 1 sack allowed by Connor McGovern. And then defensively, tackles went to Jelani Tavai, who was a starter. I guess he just got a ton of time. I don't really know why. Tackles for loss, 3 for Tavon Wilson, 2 for a number of other guys. 2 sacks for Aquara, Carney, and Hand. 1 for plenty of other players. And then 2 interceptions for Jelani Tavai, 1 for Tracy Walker, both of whom are starters. So I'm not entirely sure why they played. So now on to cuts. Quarterback, the only move being made is Stylus Stork is going to the practice squad. So Peterman and Sanchez end up making the final 53. For running back, Akram Wadley is going to the practice squad. So Detroit will carry out 5 running backs for now. McDowell is injured at the moment, so he technically doesn't count. Bawden is sticking around for receiver. St. Louis is moving to the practice squad. And then Brandon Powell would end up joining him. Other than that, the rest of these 7 guys would stay safe. So Detroit carrying out 7 receivers. A little bit surprised to see Tommy Lee Lewis on the final team, but I guess there's that. Tight end Isaac Natua going to the practice squad. Finley won the battle. Offensive line, left tackle is not being touched. Left guard is also not being touched. Center Leo Kalamataki is getting cut, even though he has a savage name. On to right guard. The only one being cut there is Jermaine Illuminor, the native of England. Bo Benchwazel making the final 53. Obviously, McGovern and Howard are safe. And then for right tackle, Ryan Pope will be released. Kenya is not going to the practice squad. He has too much upside. Defensively, Traylon Jackson's going to the practice squad. Chunky Clements on the final 53. Malik Carney will be going to the practice squad. He did not get that roster spot. And then for D-tackle, both John Atkins and P.J. Johnson going to the practice squad. So Detroit only carrying out 2 for now. Maybe they'll look to change that. Linebackers, Garrett Dooley has been cut. Trey Lamar has been moved to the practice squad. Carney and Mann are going to be on the final 53. For right outside, Reeves, Maben, and Griffin are good. For cornerback, Byron Favorite, along with Andre Shasheri, are both getting cut. So Detroit's going to carry 5 corners, and they're not going to touch safeties or special teams. So here's a look at the practice squad. 10 guys who failed to make the team from the preseason roster. And then the other 6 guys just got cut altogether. So here's a look at the free agency headed into preseason week number 4. I showed this as well as the free agency headed into week 1. I don't know why I kept this in, but whatever. Maybe there are some names who intrigue you. And before you say Emmanuel Sanders is intriguing, he was signed before week 1, so we cannot get Emmanuel Sanders. So here's a look at the official depth chart. Only thing we could look to change is wide receiver. I want Bonner Sanders to be the number 2. Marvin Jones currently the number 3 for right now, subject to change. And then for corner, Amani Oruwariye has won the job. He will be the number 3 corner. Alexander will be the number 4. If Oruwariye struggles, we're fine with putting Mackenzie Alexander in as the number 3. And then other than that, not many surprises. The defense pretty much stayed the same. All 11 starters were on the roster last year, so there's definitely a little bit more turmoil and change with the offense per se. And then there's the specialists, special teams, and practice squad. So here's free agency headed into week 1. There's Mike Ford, who was on the team last year on the Packers practice squad. Trey Quinn is an intriguing guy. Dewan Smoot, we could get another Illinois player. Mo Alley Cox is an intriguing player. Former first-round pick Vernon Butler down there. Mark Walton, we can pair him up with Freddie Bonner-Sanders. It's probably not a good idea. So what's the goal for this season? And I think this is a playoff caliber team. I think this team can realistically make the playoffs. And if this team struggles, could there be a replacement at quarterback? We'll have to see. Lots of questions headed into this season, but you'll get your first taste of answers next episode. Week 1, Monday Night Football versus the Carolina Panthers. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. I know it was kind of long, but we had to cover a lot. So here's one final look at the official 53-man roster. Give me your score predictions down below for the Carolina game. I'm going to say 24-17 Lions victory. So yeah, have a good one.